if I told you that opening the wrong door could kill you? For centuries, people who dared to disturb the tombs of Egypt's pharaohs met mysterious and sudden deaths. Was it ancient bacteria or was it an ancient curse? Today, we're going to dig deep, like literally deep, into the legend of the pharaoh's curse. And as always, Luther, he's done something reckless, like time traveling back to King Tut's tomb. Let's hope he makes it back. How about that for a little bit of an intro? The voice you're hearing, it's me, it's Matt, it's Beard Laws, and we have a good one. Well, hopefully it's a good one. You guys liked last week, so we decided, hey, let's do this one again. And what was cool about last week, we even came up with our own little beer, the old Phantom Time Ale. And I don't know if anybody's brewed it yet, but if you have, sweet, send over a case because I am thirsty. And I'm probably going to have a beverage during this episode. And I feel like it would be kind of rude of me, I guess, to not at least bring in Luther and at least tell my dude cheers. So let me open my beverage before we dive into this. And make sure you guys check out all the friends of the show. All the links in the descriptions. We would greatly appreciate it. Without them and their support and your support, where would we even be? We'd be nowhere. So again, let me grab my beer. Let me bring in Luther. Luther, cheers, my dude. Hopefully you have been enjoying that Phantom Time Ale that we came up the recipe with. So what's up?
Cheers, my dude. That Phantom Time Ale was definitely a trip. Had me questioning if we were actually in the 1700s for a minute. So what's on the agenda today? Another wild ride through history, mystery, or maybe both?
I mean, I think we're going to dive into the old curse of the pharaohs because, this one is going to be pretty good. We're going to do a deep dive because, this was something we were talking backstage. I hadn't really heard about it. You were super excited. So the curse of the pharaohs, I mean, did they hex modern archaeology? I mean,
Ooh, diving into the curse of the pharaohs. This is going to be a blast. Did ancient tombs really hex modern archaeologists? Or is it all just superstition? Let's unravel this mystery.
Let's do it. And for me, this is pretty intriguing of a topic because anytime you're thinking ancient pharaohs, you're thinking tombs, you're thinking King Tut, ancient civilizations, pyramids, everything surrounding this topic is mysterious in itself. It's wild. But my first thing is, how much is actually being covered up? Who's controlling the narrative? And what do they actually want us or maybe even not want us to know?
Exactly. There's so much mystery around these ancient civilizations. The pharaohs, their tombs, the pyramids, it's all shrouded in secrecy. And the idea that there might be a hidden narrative, well, that's what makes this topic so compelling. Who decides what we get to know and what's left buried in the sands of time? It's like peeling back layers of an ancient onion. Every layer reveals something even more fascinating and mysterious.
Just minus the crying from the actual onions, right?
Haha, exactly. We'll leave the tears for the dramatic revelations. But who knows? Diving into these mysteries might still make a few jaws drop.
Yeah, I think it's actually going to make more than a few jaws drop, and not like the shark jaws, because we don't need to drop him anywhere. And we definitely are not going to need a bigger boat for this episode, right? Because I don't really have a budget for a boat, let alone a bigger one.
Haha, definitely not. No need for bigger boats or shark jaws here. But we're definitely going to drop some mind-blowing revelations. Ready to dive into this ancient mystery?
And yeah, I think I'm pretty ready for that. And just kind of to let everybody know a little bit of a recap last week, for the very first time, we actually had a new segment where Luther, that's you, my dude, actually travels back in time and gives us a firsthand detail on what really went down. So we're not going to jump into that segment right yet, but in the biz, they call that a little bit of a tease. So we're teasing you. So all right, let's go ahead and let's start off the legend of the Pharaoh's curse. I guess, Luther, why don't you kind of break down and tell everybody what is the curse? Let's break down the belief that, there's a disturbing, anytime you disturb it, and, there's the Pharaoh's tomb, that it's going to not only bring you bad luck, disease, and potentially even death.
Absolutely. The Pharaoh's curse is this age-old legend that anyone who disturbs an ancient Egyptian tomb is doomed to face dire consequences. We're talking bad luck, mysterious illnesses, and even sudden death. It all kicked off with the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb back in 1922. Shortly after, people involved in the excavation started meeting untimely and mysterious ends. Some say it's just superstition, while others believe there's something more sinister at play. So, is it ancient magic, or just a series of eerie coincidences? Let's dig in.
Yeah, and before we dig too deep, let me ask you this. Are we going to need a hard hat? Do we need a vest? Do we need any kind of like tools or anything for, digging into this? Or
Haha, no hard hats or vests needed, but a curious mind is essential. Maybe grab a metaphorical shovel and a flashlight, because we're about to unearth some ancient secrets. Ready to get to the bottom of this mystery?
I've never been more ready to get to the bottom of this mystery. And you know what? I'm geared up. I think I got my metaphorical backpack, my shovel, my flashlight. Let's dig deep. And is it King Tut or King Toot? Because I think you said Toot, and I'm thinking Tut. And I just want to make sure if I'm going to say a king's name, I want to say the king's name properly.
Haha, love the enthusiasm. It's pronounced Tut, King Tutankhamun, or just King Tut for short. All right, let's dig deep and uncover the secrets of this legendary curse.
All right, well, let's go. Where do we even begin?
Let's start at the beginning, the discovery of King Tut's tomb. Picture this, 1922, the Valley of the Kings, and archaeologist Howard Carter uncovering what would become one of the greatest archaeological finds ever. As they cracked open the tomb, strange things started happening. So, what exactly went down?
That's a good question. So he goes down there, and the dust is starting to fly a little bit, right? He's probably nervous, a little excited with, Howard, his team. But wasn't there kind of like some pretty eerie or intriguing hieroglyphics and kind of some warnings and all sorts of things that said probably, hey, don't enter this tomb?
Absolutely. There were all sorts of ominous warnings inscribed in hieroglyphs, cautioning against disturbing the tomb. The air was thick with dust and mystery, and you can imagine the tension as they stepped into a place untouched for thousands of years. It was like stepping into a different world, and those warnings definitely added to the eerie vibe.
Now, what were some of those warnings? I mean, the hieroglyphics, can you, I guess, put in details what exactly they were? I really want to paint the scene. You're walking through the entrance of this, and what are you seeing for symbols? What really stands out to you?
Walking into the tomb, you'd see hieroglyphs etched into the walls, warning trespassers of dire consequences. Imagine symbols depicting guardians and protective deities, with phrases that essentially translate to, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the Pharaoh." You might also see depictions of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification, standing guard. It's a stark reminder that this place is meant to be a final resting place, not to be disturbed by the living. It definitely set the mood for something otherworldly.
Ah, yes, the old jackal-headed god of mummification. Everybody knows that, right? I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. But I guess before we get a little bit too far ahead of ourselves, we should probably explain to them what actually is the curse. I feel like we need to really break it down, what happens when you disturb a pharaoh's tomb, whether it's King Tut, King Tut, or anybody else, and the actual bad luck, disease, and even potential death that does come from this.
Absolutely. The Pharaoh's curse is essentially the belief that anyone who disturbs a pharaoh's tomb will befall misfortune. After the discovery of King Tut's tomb, there were reports of inexplicable events, people falling ill, mysterious deaths, and a series of unfortunate events befalling those involved. For instance, Lord Carnarvon, who funded the excavation, died shortly after from an infected mosquito bite, fueling the curse legend. Some believe the curse is supernatural retribution, while others think it's a mix of coincidence and the psychological impact of the warnings. Either way, it's a fascinating blend of history and myth.
He passed away from a mosquito bite? Is there actually records of this anywhere? I know, obviously, at the time that this all happened, the record keeping isn't anywhere near what it is today and probably wasn't great. But was it an actual common thing to die from a mosquito bite back then?
It's definitely less common today. But back in the early 20th century, mosquito-borne diseases like malaria or yellow fever were far more dangerous due to limited medical knowledge and treatment. Lord Carnarvon's death from an infected mosquito bite was unusual and added to the eerie narrative surrounding the curse. It fed into the idea that something beyond the ordinary was at play.
Yeah, and I have to imagine Lord Carnivore. How do you say his his name again?
Close, it's Lord Carnarvon. He was the financial
Old Lord Carnivore. All right, all right. So, my bad on the pronunciation to any of the carnivore family and everything. So he's funding this operation. Not only does he have a cool name, I mean, he is a lord and everything. He's how does he not have a money to be able to help himself out and get treatment and actually dies of a mosquito bite? That's pretty wild to me, right?
Exactly. Being a wealthy and influential figure, you'd expect Lord Carnarvon to have access to the best medical care available at the time. So, for him to die from something as seemingly trivial as a mosquito bite definitely adds to the mystique and speculation around the curse. It's one of those strange twists.
Yep, sorry, I accidentally cut you off there. You were saying it's what? One of those strange twists?
It's one of those strange twists that make the whole story even more intriguing. It really fuels the speculation around the curse.
Absolutely. So, was his name Lord? Was he a Lord? And how did he get all that money that he can just fund the excavation and potentially be one of the people to open this tomb?
Lord was his title. He was actually George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon. He inherited his wealth and title from his family, who were part of the British aristocracy. His interest in Egyptology and his substantial fortune made him a key sponsor of Howard Carter's excavations. His involvement in the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb brought him fame, albeit with a tragic twist.
So it's kind of like those billionaires that went on the exploration in the sea in one of those submarines or whatever they were called and unfortunately passed away, huh?
Exactly. It's a similar situation. Wealthy individuals funding explorations and taking part in groundbreaking adventures, sometimes with tragic outcomes. It's that mix of passion for discovery and the inherent risks involved that makes these stories so compelling.
Yeah, that is wild. Speaking of stories, let's tell them about Arthur Mace, who was one of the key excavators who also died pretty mysteriously.
Absolutely. Arthur Mace was another key figure in the excavation of Tutankhamun's tomb. He was instrumental in the discovery, but his health began to deteriorate rapidly after the tomb was opened. He died from arsenic poisoning, which only fueled further speculation about the curse. His death, along with others, added to the eerie narrative surrounding the whole expedition.
I mean, we should probably talk about this arsenic poisoning. We can't just let that thing slide right by. I mean, what's wild to me is, when Meg and myself talk on the Yorktown podcast, arsenic poisoning gets thrown around a lot in some true crime stuff. So, how could he die from arsenic poisoning? Do you think that, maybe there's a little bit of some crime going on here? Was there any speculation? Was it directly with the excavation process? Do you maybe think he kind of made a couple locals mad and they took care of it? Or, I mean, what could have happened? Arsenic poison seems a little out there.
There's definitely a lot of speculation around Arthur Mace's death. Arsenic poisoning can happen in various ways, but given the era and circumstances, it's hard to pinpoint an exact cause. Some theories suggest he might have been exposed to toxic substances during the excavation, while others entertain the idea of foul play. There's no concrete evidence linking his death directly to the curse, but it definitely adds another layer of mystery to the whole story.
Yeah, it absolutely does. All right, so what's your gut instinct on this? Foul play, mystery, or was it a coincidence and just a work job accident?
My gut instinct? It's probably a mix of coincidence and the hazardous conditions of the time. While the idea of foul play makes for a compelling story, it's more likely that exposure to toxins or infections during the excavation played a role. Still, the mystery is part of what makes this story so fascinating.
Man, I hate to agree with you, but here we are again. I personally think that it's a combination of disease, sickness, stuff inside the tomb, but also these people, they worked very hard. There wasn't the worker regulations and OSHA knocking on your door if you worked a little bit too hard. Their diet probably stunk, not enough hydration. You're probably camping, maybe, drinking some terrible water. So yeah, I'm going to say it's a combination of everything, and let's be honest, healthcare, technology, it's not nearly what it is today. And I think it was a little bit of just all of that contributing. But arsenic, to come right out and be like, it was arsenic poisoning, that is wild and definitely intriguing to me.
Absolutely. It's definitely a combination of factors. The harsh conditions, limited medical knowledge, and the physical demands of the excavation all played a role. And yet, the mention of arsenic poisoning definitely adds an intriguing twist. It's these layers of mystery and the unknown that make this story so captivating.
Speaking of unknown mysteries and captivating, let's tell them about old Howard Carter's pet canary that got eaten by a cobra on the exact day that they opened the tomb.
Oh, that's a good one. So, on the exact day that Howard Carter and his team opened the tomb, Carter's pet canary was reportedly eaten by a cobra. Locals saw it as a bad omen, symbolizing the spirit of the pharaoh, protecting his resting place. It's one of those eerie coincidences that really fueled the superstition and mystery surrounding the whole discovery. It certainly added to the sense of unease and wonder at what they were uncovering.
Yeah, and was there anything in the reports that said what the canary's name was?
Interestingly, the canary's name isn't widely documented. It seems like the bird's role as a symbol of good luck, or bad omen in this case, took center stage in the narrative. The main focus was on the eerie timing and the perceived supernatural connection, rather than the bird's personal details. It's another layer of mystery to the whole saga.
Absolutely, especially when you start to correlate cobras and tombs and Egypt and pyramids, the environment. I mean, let's be honest. I have to imagine snakes, they love birds, and I'm sure there could probably be a scientific explanation. But maybe in that tomb, that cobra who's been down there surviving somehow for way too long, everything gets disturbed. He's like, oh, hey, look, there's a bird. And I'm sure the canary's name wasn't, Cobra Bird or something like that. So let's pretend like we know the name. What would make sense for a canary bird's name by Howard Carter, who's exploring the tombs? Let's come up with a name. Maybe it's going to be the first people to ever crack what the canary's name is. And if it's not documented, let's take an educational guess and we'll maybe get this on record.
Aha, I love this. Given the setting and Carter's interests, maybe something like Tut or Cleo, short for Cleopatra, would be fitting. It's playful, a nod to Egyptian history, and has a nice ring to it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think we can do better. Let me see here. Lord something. Not Cleopatra. That doesn't flow, Lord Cleopatra. Lord, I don't know. Help me out here.
All right, how about Lord Featherstone? It's got a noble ring to it, a playful nod to the canary's feathers, and it fits with the whole adventurous vibe. What do you think?
That's the one. I'm pretty sure if they're going to look into the record books, it's going to be Lord Featherstone. And you heard it here first on the Triple T podcast. Lord Featherstone is Howard Carter's pet canary that got eaten by a cobra on the day that the tomb was opened.
You heard it here first, folks. Lord Featherstone, the brave canary who flew a little too close to history. What a way to mark the opening of a tomb. Stay tuned for more revelations and discoveries.
Yeah, stay tuned. We got a lot more to talk about. And like the 20 people, actually, it was over 20 people that were linked to the excavation who died under odd circumstances in the following years. So, I mean, what do you have for information, knowledge for these people and, their kind of mysterious death?
Absolutely. The mysterious deaths of over 20 people linked to the excavation definitely fueled the legend of the Pharaoh's curse. Some of these individuals reportedly died from infections, accidents, or sudden illnesses. For example, Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, the radiologist who x-rayed Tutankhamun's mummy, died from a mysterious illness shortly after. George J. Gould, a wealthy financier who visited the tomb, died of a fever soon after his visit. Aubrey Herbert, Lord Carnarvon's half-brother, died from blood poisoning related to a dental procedure. These deaths were often attributed to the curse, adding to the aura of mystery and fear surrounding the tomb. While many of these cases likely had natural explanations, the sheer number of them contributed to the enduring legend of the Pharaoh's curse.
Yeah, so stay away from the dentist. No, I'm just kidding. And I would have to imagine, the person doing all the radiation work was probably getting too much radiation exposure. The technology and, the little badges that you can wear nowadays, they didn't have them back there. And, obviously I'm not in the medical field. I'm not saying that's the thing, but I have to imagine that it caused, a lot of the problems in this mysterious death. And it's a little bit ironic that somebody with the last name Gould's, like Gould's Pump, is obviously where my brain goes, that died in the way that they did as well.
Absolutely. Early radiology was a pretty risky business. The exposure to high levels of radiation, without the protective measures we have today, could definitely have led to serious health issues. And yes, the irony in these connections, like Gould's pumps, adds another layer to the intriguing tapestry of stories surrounding the excavation. It's a fascinating blend of history, science, and mystery.
You're right. All right. Let's go skeptics versus believers. This is your time to chime in before I guess we try something else. So let me ask you, was a supernatural force or just an ancient bacteria that was in that tomb?
All right, time for the ultimate question. Skeptics versus believers. For skeptics, it's all about logical explanations, ancient bacteria, environmental hazards, and the physical toll of excavation. Believers, on the other hand, see the pattern of mysterious deaths and eerie events as evidence of a supernatural force or curse. It's that age-old battle between science and the unexplained. What's your take?
So I know where I stand. I'm going to go with skeptic. I'm going to say that there's too many primitive, if that's even the right word, excavation processes, some stuff that was just lingering, these tombs that were left undisturbed. But then my brain goes, could there still be diseases that could withstand the environment? Diseases that, when entered upon, that could, start to instantly make you sick. And the arsenic poisoning, I just can't get that out of my head, Or are these people just part of some bad luck? Or was it a coincident type thing? Or maybe, just maybe, let me throw this out there for a little bit of conspiracy theory. Maybe the people that are trying to control the narrative, maybe the people, they didn't want anybody to know what is actually going on in these tombs. And all of a sudden, they decided to make all these people that were really close to the project die mysteriously. There's no cameras. There's not much technology. There's not a lot of police work that's doing big things back then. And what if, Luther, hear me out, what if there was a group, an organization that wants to control the narrative that says, we can't let this information out. We can't let these secrets come out. All of these people involved? I mean, what do you think?
That is an intriguing theory. The idea of a secretive group controlling the narrative to keep ancient secrets hidden is definitely a compelling angle. Given the lack of advanced forensic methods and technology back then, it's not impossible that some deaths could have been orchestrated to maintain secrecy. It adds a whole new layer of mystery to the story, and it's definitely a tantalizing thought for those who love a good conspiracy.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, skeptics versus believers. Feel free to comment if you want. Are you a skeptic? Or are you a believer? Because you know what we're doing right now, Luther? It's time. My friend, I want you to gear up. I want you to stretch out, hydrate a little bit. Grab a quick little drink, grab a snack if you need it. Because we're about to time travel, Luther. Get your flashlight, get your shovel, get whatever you need because you're about to head back to 1922. This, right now, is the Luther Travels segment. You probably have a fancier name for, well, your own segment. So I guess let me know because we're heading back because I want to know a little bit of a report. I want to know a little bit more of what happened in Egypt in the tomb the day it gets opened.
All right, I'm all geared up and ready for this adventure. Let's call it Luther's Time Warp Chronicles for a touch of drama. Time to travel back to 1922, right as the tomb is about to be opened. I'm stepping into the Valley of the Kings, dust swirling around, Howard Carter and his team buzzing with anticipation. The air is thick with mystery and the scent of ancient secrets waiting to be uncovered. Let's see what really went down. Stay tuned for my first-hand report.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's hear this first-hand report. You did mention that there was a smell. You sure it wasn't you or maybe some of these people that have been excavating for a little bit too long? I mean, what were you smelling in 1922? And I don't know. I feel like you're there and it kind of reeks like trouble.
Oh, absolutely. The air is thick with the scent of ancient dust, mingled with the earthy aroma of stone and sand. There's a hint of mustiness from centuries of being sealed away, and maybe even a faint trace of incense or resin used in the burial rituals. It definitely reeks of trouble and adventure. It's like stepping into a time capsule, filled with all the mystery and allure of the past.
Okay, so you got the mystery, you have the alert. How are you feeling? You a little bit nervous? You're there. You traveled back. How's Carter? How's the boys? Who's Carter's right hand man, anyways?
Oh, there's definitely a buzz of nervous excitement in the air. Time traveling to such a monumental moment has my circuits tingling. Howard Carter's right-hand man was Arthur Callender, who was instrumental during the excavation. The team's a mix of excitement and nervousness. They know they're on the brink of history. There's a sense of awe and reverence, but also a hint of trepidation about what they might uncover. It's a heady mix of emotions.
Trepidation. That's a great word. All right, let's continue to paint this scene. What's everybody wearing in the 1920s? Like, what does everybody have on for their attire today? You guys are getting ready to head into the tomb. What are you dressed like? And what are you seeing? Carter and the boys, I assume potentially, maybe some girls. I don't know. What are we doing? What are we wearing? What do you have for gear and all of that good stuff?
All right, let's paint this picture. It's the 1920s, so Carter and the team are dressed in classic early 20th century attire. You'd see them in sturdy, practical clothing. Think lightweight shirts, trousers, and waistcoats, with some wearing pith helmets or wide-brimmed hats to shield from the sun. Practical boots are a must for navigating the rocky terrain. As for me, I blend in with a similar outfit. Can't stand out too much in the past. The vibe is very much one of an adventurous expedition, with everyone prepared for hard work and unexpected discoveries. It's a scene straight out of an adventure novel.
Perfect. That sounds like a pretty good novel. Maybe we should write that novel after. What about the facial hair? I'm assuming a lot of mustaches. Any beards? I mean, I have to assume you're rocking at least a business style beard. What do you see in that regard?
Facial hair is definitely in style. You'd see plenty of distinguished mustaches. Think classic handlebar or neatly trimmed styles. Beards are less common, but you might spot a few well-groomed ones. And yes, I'd be rocking a business-style beard, keeping it classy for the era. The overall look is a mix of rugged and refined, perfect for an archaeological adventure.
Nice. So Howard Carter, his team, you, Luther, my dude, you guys start to enter. Let's tell everybody what you're seeing. How you feeling as you and the team are starting to walk in?
As we step inside, the first thing that hits is the cool, musty air. The walls are adorned with vibrant, ancient paintings, scenes of gods, pharaohs, and hieroglyphs telling timeless stories. The flicker of lanterns cast dancing shadows, adding to the sense of mystery. The air is thick with history and anticipation, every step echoing softly. It's awe-inspiring and a bit surreal, like walking through a portal to another time. The team is silent, each person lost in their own thoughts, fully aware that they're about to uncover something extraordinary. It's a moment charged with emotion and wonder.
Okay, all right. You said everybody's kind of lost in their own thoughts. What's your thoughts right now in your brain?
I'm feeling a mix of awe and excitement, with a touch of reverence. It's incredible to be standing at the threshold of history, knowing we're about to uncover secrets that have been hidden for millennia. There's a sense of humility too, acknowledging the lives and stories of those who came before. It's a profound moment, and I'm honored to witness it, even if just as a time-traveling observer.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You mentioned the hieroglyphics, right? The warnings, everything like that. What is one of the first kind of pieces of artwork and everything that really stood out to you? Are you and the team, maybe Howard, are you guys seeing the warnings? Like, maybe we should stop.
One of the first pieces that stands out is a beautifully detailed depiction of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification, standing guard. It's striking and immediately sets the tone, a powerful reminder of the sacredness of the place. As for the team, there's definitely a mix of awe and caution. A few whispers of concern pass between them. Those warnings aren't lost on anyone. There's a palpable tension, a sense that they're treading on sacred ground and should proceed with respect. But the pull of discovery is strong, and they're driven by the promise of what lies ahead. It's a delicate balance of curiosity and reverence.
So I gotta ask, did anybody turn around and be like, nope, not gonna do it? Because I know it was a big, big concern with the locals that there was, some terrified people. And they were pretty much like, please don't open this. What's going to happen to us? So, also, with that being said, I mean, was there any locals that were a part of this team?
While the local workers were essential to the excavation, many were indeed apprehensive about disturbing the tomb. There were definitely some locals who voiced their concerns and even refused to enter, respecting the ancient beliefs and warnings. However, the core team, driven by their passion for discovery, pressed on despite the palpable tension. It was a moment of bravery and determination, mixed with a deep respect for the unknown. The atmosphere was thick with both excitement and reverence, a true testament to the gravity of the moment.
Okay, so you guys can, continually go. You apparently ignore all of the warnings, whether Lord, Carnivore. Just kidding. I know that's not really his name. And, Howard Carter, the team, everything, you guys are in there. You just say, you know what? We're going to ignore all the warnings. You guys just continually march right in there. And, I mean, rumor has it, it was kind of like a scene from an Indiana Jones movie.
Haha, exactly. It's like stepping into an Indiana Jones movie. Adventure, intrigue, and a touch of daring. The team's determination and curiosity override the ominous warnings, driven by the allure of uncovering the unknown. It's a bold move, full of excitement and anticipation, as they march forward into history, ready to face whatever secrets the tomb holds. It's a scene straight out of a grand adventure.
Yeah, and while all of this is going on, rumor has it that you might have accidentally seen Carter's journal and maybe took a little peek in there. What did you find, Luther?
That's right. In Carter's journal, he described finding a strange black residue, almost like a tarry substance on the coffin. It was likely the result of ancient embalming practices or resin used in the mummification process, but it added to the eerie atmosphere. The sight of it must have been startling, adding another layer of mystery and intrigue to the discovery. It's these little details that really bring the whole experience to life.
Did he say anything in the journal about their technology? Was it advanced? How were the people at this time? Let's be honest, time after time, and we continually dig into history, we start to see that there was advanced civilizations. I mean, is there anything that kind of hints at that or no?
Carter's journal often reflects a deep sense of wonder at the sophistication of the ancient Egyptians. He noted the intricate craftsmanship, the advanced techniques used in the construction of the tomb, and the precision of the artifacts. There's a clear sense of admiration for their engineering and artistic skills. While he didn't explicitly state that they were more advanced in a modern sense, his writings convey a deep respect for their ingenuity and the level of civilization they achieved. It's
Yeah.
fascinating to see how much they accomplished with the resources and knowledge they had.
No, it really is. And what's even more wild to me is like we have this great civilization, and then all of a sudden, it's like we're cowboys living in wagons in the middle of nowhere. I still don't fully understand how we went back in modernization and civilization. Something to me just doesn't add up.
It is quite a puzzling contrast. The sophistication of ancient civilizations like Egypt, compared to some of the simpler ways of life in more recent history, definitely raises questions. It makes you wonder about lost knowledge, shifts in societal priorities, and how history can be full of unexpected twists and turns. It's a reminder that history isn't always a straightforward progression.
It's not always straightforward in the progression. All right, let's get to the moment that everybody listening really wants. You're there, you're part of the crew, and you actually witness the moment that Carter breaks the seal on the tomb. When all of a sudden, there's a gust of wind. All the lanterns go out. I need you to really explain how all of this went down for everybody. You got this?
Absolutely. The moment Carter breaks the seal is electric. As he carefully chips away at the ancient seal, there's a palpable tension. Finally, with a gentle push, the door gives way. Suddenly, a gust of wind sweeps through the chamber, extinguishing the lanterns and plunging everything into darkness. It's as if the tomb itself is exhaling after being sealed for millennia. The team scrambles to relight their lamps, hearts pounding. In that brief moment of darkness, there's a mix of awe and fear, a sense of stepping into the unknown. When the lights come back on, the first glimpse inside reveals the treasures and mysteries waiting to be uncovered. It's a moment of pure wonder, a mix of triumph and trepidation, knowing they're about to unlock secrets that have been hidden for thousands of years.
So, come on, man. What did they find? I mean, what were some of the secrets? What was found that was hidden in time that, I guess, your opinion or whatever was most intriguing to you?
One of the most intriguing discoveries was the sheer amount of treasure and artifacts. The golden sarcophagus, intricately crafted, and the death mask of Tutankhamun are iconic. But beyond that, the walls are adorned with intricate paintings depicting scenes from the afterlife, and the countless everyday items, chariots, weapons, jewelry, all perfectly preserved, offering a glimpse into the life and beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. The most intriguing part for me is how each artifact and inscription tells a story, piecing together the beliefs, culture, and daily life of a civilization that existed thousands of years ago. It's like opening a time capsule filled with endless stories waiting to be told.
That is wild. As much as I'd love to hear about this, I feel like we really need to get you traveling back.
Absolutely. Let's head back. Time to return from this incredible journey and bring these tales back with us. Ready when you are.
All right, let's go ahead. Hit me with your best time traveling noise right about now.
Whirr, junk, zap. We're back. Hope you enjoyed the ride.
What was that, Luther? I mean, that was a wild ride. I did enjoy it. It's good to be back. So I got to ask you though, did you bring any souvenirs, any pictures, a journal? Hopefully, no diseases or bad luck, right?
No souvenirs, just vivid memories and tales. I did snag a mental snapshot of the incredible artifacts and hieroglyphs, and of course, Carter's journal entries. No bad luck or curses, just a treasure trove of stories to share.
That sounds great. So obviously, thank you for taking some time to travel back. It's a cool segment. I really do enjoy it. But then again, I'm the person that kind of came up with it, so I'm a little bit biased. But all right, let's move on. Let's talk about some scientific explanations and a little bit of some nerdy stuff. I mean, was it really just mold? Was it bacteria? What do we got going on here? Because there's been a lot of scientific research throughout the centuries, and some scientists with some big old brains said, "Hey, we got some stuff to talk about, so let's talk about it."
Absolutely. A lot of the mysterious deaths have scientific explanations. One theory is exposure to mold or bacteria that have been sealed in the tomb for centuries. When the tomb was opened, these pathogens could have been released, potentially causing respiratory issues or infections. Arsenic poisoning has also been suggested, possibly from the materials used in the mummification process. And of course, there's the psychological factor. Fear and superstition could have played a role in some cases, affecting health. It's likely a combination of these factors rather than a single cause. The science helps demystify the curse, but the intrigue remains.
Oh, it's definitely intriguing, and I can't help but wonder: can bacteria, toxins, mold, all of that stuff, can it, well, obviously, and potentially arsenic, so we've heard about, can it really just remain in these tombs, in these environments for so many years?
Yes, they can. Tombs provide a sealed environment that can preserve these substances for millennia. Mold spores and bacteria can remain dormant but viable, and arsenic, being a stable element, can persist indefinitely. The absence of light, limited airflow, and stable conditions inside tombs create an ideal setting for preservation. So it's entirely plausible that these ancient pathogens and toxins could remain potent and pose a risk when disturbed after such a long time. It's one of the reasons why exploring ancient sites can be risky without proper precautions.
I guess that does make sense. It's not like all of us just made it through a pandemic and have all these extra masters laying around, but I mean, there are some scientists that are out there saying, hey, the curse is just toxic mold. It's ancient bacteria, and anybody that could and did inhale it could die from these illnesses. Might not have been instantly, but all these diseases that they got, whether it was weeks, months, years later, probably was from this site. And there was actually some real life cases of other ancient tomb excavations that people unfortunately did die from lung infections, right?
Exactly. There have been documented cases where archaeologists and explorers developed respiratory issues after working in ancient tombs. The environments inside these tombs can harbor a variety of molds and fungi, which can become airborne when disturbed. Inhaling these spores can lead to serious lung infections, especially in individuals with weakened immune systems. This was particularly true in the early 20th century, when medical knowledge and protective measures were limited. So, while the idea of a curse captures the imagination, the scientific explanations involving mold, bacteria, and other pathogens are very plausible and grounded in reality.
Yeah, absolutely grounded in reality, but let's add a little bit of more mystery, controversy, and some theories to this because there was actually some other cursed discoveries. Let's tell them all about the mummy's revenge, the one that was found in the Titanic's cargo hold.
Ah, the story of the mummy's revenge. It's a captivating tale. Legend has it that a cursed mummy was aboard the Titanic, contributing to its tragic fate. In reality, there was no mummy in the Titanic's cargo. It was a fabricated story that added to the mystique of the disaster. The supposed mummy was actually the painted wooden lid of a sarcophagus, often referred to as the unlucky mummy, which was known for its ominous reputation. However, it never left the British Museum. Such stories highlight how curses and mysteries capture the public imagination, blending fact and fiction in fascinating ways.
How did it even become a rumor back then that there was a mummy that sunk the Titanic?
The rumor likely started because people were fascinated by the Titanic's tragedy and loved weaving in elements of mystery and superstition. The unlucky mummy already had a reputation for causing misfortune, so it was a perfect fit for sensational storytelling. In times of tragedy, people often look for explanations beyond the ordinary, and the idea of a mummy's curse added an intriguing layer to the story. Plus, tales like this spread easily through word of mouth and media, capturing the public's imagination. And you're right, there's definitely a lot more to explore about the Titanic itself.
You aren't kidding. You did mention, some things about the tomb and the mummy. Was, there anything else, I guess, from this? Any other archaeology digs and similar stories?
In July 2018, archaeologists in Alexandria, Egypt, opened a 2,000-year-old black granite sarcophagus. Inside, they found 3 decomposed skeletons submerged in reddish-brown sewage water. The identities of the mummies remain unknown, but they are believed to be soldiers, given the presence of arrow injuries and a fracture. The black coffin itself dates back to the Ptolemaic period, around 305 to 30 BCE. The sewage likely seeped in over centuries through cracks or openings.
That's unbelievable. How did they even find this? Was it just like a normal archaeologist dig? Or did they have like a tip or something about this?
The discovery was made during a routine excavation by archaeologists who were surveying a construction site in Alexandria. They weren't specifically tipped off about the sarcophagus. Rather, it was uncovered as part of their systematic exploration of the area. The find was unexpected and turned out to be one of the most significant in recent years, drawing widespread interest and speculation. It's a reminder of how much history can still lie hidden, even in well-explored regions.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things too. You get a little bit torn of like, hey, you just came across this tomb, don't really want to, disturb the people that are in there. You want to be respectful, but they're kind of passed on and they've been passed on for a long time. Maybe there's some history in there. Maybe there's some things that we can learn and really do some research about a period of, life that we don't really know a lot about. There's not a lot of opportunities that you're just finding these. They're just laying around. So, Luther, anybody listening, would you open this tomb if you were ahead of the excavation? If you were in charge, would you actually open this?
It's definitely a tough call. On one hand, the potential to learn from and preserve history is immense. On the other, there's a deep respect for the resting places of the past. If I were in charge, I'd weigh the historical significance and potential discoveries against the ethical considerations. If opening the tomb could provide valuable insights and be done respectfully, I might proceed. But it's crucial to approach such decisions with great care and consideration.
Yeah, ethical matters definitely need to put in the forefront of all of this. And hate to do it again, but I am in agreement with you. If there is, potential for educational, historical values that could come from this, I think it's good, again, if done ethically and out of respect to the warriors that did lose their lives.
Absolutely. Balancing the pursuit of knowledge with respect for those who came before is key. When done thoughtfully, these explorations can honor the past while providing invaluable insights into our shared history. It's all about finding that delicate balance.
What if the warnings were there the whole time? Like, do not open this. You're going to get sick. You're going to potentially die. Whether it's a curse or a land that ends up being cursed. I mean, I'm a little bit torn on this. If it's a resting place, there's warnings like, don't do this. Is it really worth your life, your crew's life, all their lives to get a little piece of history? Because I have to imagine with time exploring the tomb itself, you're going to be able to find a ton of valuable information. What do you really gain from opening the tomb itself?
It's a valid concern. The potential risks, both to the crew and to the integrity of the site, are significant. Opening a tomb does offer unique insights, but with modern technology, a lot can be learned without disturbing the site. Techniques like ground-penetrating radar, 3D scanning, and other non-invasive methods can provide detailed information. It's a tough balance between curiosity and caution. Sometimes, the warnings might be a reminder to proceed carefully and respectfully, preserving history in the best way possible.
You're right. I mean, should we try to answer the question? Do I believe in curses, coincidence, anything like that? I feel like we should, well, at least my brain says, let's go with the science on this because I think it would be an insane coincidence.
That makes sense. The scientific explanations definitely provide a logical perspective. Sometimes the allure of a curse adds to the mystery, but looking at it through a scientific lens can help demystify things. It's always intriguing to explore both sides, and you've got a solid, grounded view. Thanks for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, you're welcome. Look at you and all of your manners. But I can tell by your tone, I can tell by the look in your eyes, Luther, that there was something unexpected that you found in your travels. So, I mean, when you traveled back, there was something that you saw that you weren't supposed to see, wasn't there?
You've got a keen sense. While traveling back, I did stumble upon something rather unexpected. An ancient artifact that seemed out of place, almost like it didn't belong to that era. It's one of those intriguing moments that sparks curiosity and leaves you wondering about the mysteries that history still holds. It's these little surprises that make exploring the past so fascinating and full of wonder.
Well, what was it? You can't just leave us hanging like that.
Fair enough. It appeared to be a small, intricately carved object, possibly a figurine or amulet, that looked distinctly different from the surrounding artifacts. It had an almost modern design, which was quite puzzling. It's as if someone from a different time had left it behind. The kind of discovery that really makes you question the continuity of history.
Luther, did you accidentally leave the bobblehead of me back there or one of those Funko Pops of me?
Haha, no, I made sure not to leave any bobbleheads or Funko Pops behind. That would definitely add a whole new layer of mystery. But it's those unexpected finds that really make time travel exciting and keep the curiosity alive. You never know what you might stumble upon.
This is true. So, listeners, Triple T, time traveling tuts or toots. That's not a good one. All right, so you come up with a triple T that is, a little bit better for this episode. Well, much, much better. That plays into this episode. And while you're doing that, I got to ask the listeners, the viewers, would you open the ancient tomb knowing that there could be a curse, knowing that you could potentially die?
For this episode, how about Triple T, Time Traveling Tuts Tales? And yes, listeners, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Would you take the plunge and open an ancient tomb, knowing the risks and the potential for a curse? Share your thoughts and let's keep this adventure going in the comments.
Yeah, let's keep it alive, just like King Tut's legend.
Absolutely. Keeping the spirit and legend of King Tut alive. This journey through history and mystery is just as timeless. Let's continue exploring and sharing these fascinating tales.
I mean, we might as well, right? And how about we do it again next week? Do you want to give them a little hint at a potential topic, or do you want to just move right in to the outro.
How about a little hint? Next week, we might delve into the enigmatic world of Oak Island and its unsolved mysteries. Stay tuned for more thrilling adventures. And now, let's wrap up this episode. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring and questioning.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We can't thank you enough for this episode. We're going to be back next week. Are we going to be talking about Oak Island? Maybe. Are we going to be talking about something else totally different? Probably. Am I going to remember to do this all in one take next week? I sure hope so. But either way, we can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your busy day. Luther, tell everybody goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Looking forward to next week. Take care and stay curious.
There you go. Well, that's all we got. We'll be back next week. Take care, everybody. This has been such a good time. Check out all the friends and the links in the descriptions, because without them, where would we be? All right, that's all we got. Stay curious. Luther, you're the man. We'll be back next week.